Hi again, everyone. Gary Digit Williams here on Boxing Along the Beltway. Our news and notes for this week, and this week is sort of a light week, and this will be the first light week that we've had in the Beltway in about almost 2 months, considering all the great cards we've had over the last month and a half. And of course, we'll recap a little bit more of a recap of the show in DC on April the 30th, and also the Golden Gloves results, which are a little bit surprising this time around. And we'll preview the big weekend for the 13th and 14th of May, and also some things that are going on May 7th coming up. So that's our bulk of our podcast for this week. Now, of course, this past weekend we had the big doubleheader, super middleweight doubleheader at the DC Armory, our third card of 4 that was nationally televised from the DC Armory, and overall good card. I think, again, as I said from the get-go, this is a card that was a card for the hardcore boxing fan. It wasn't, as I said, a whole lot of Beltway presence on there. Again, as we talked about at the post-fight wrap-up show, Keegan Grove, Sandman won his pro debut. The two gentlemen from Ghana who now train out of Silver Spring, Maryland, they performed decently and lost their bouts, but they performed decently in their bouts. And of course, Moshe Aleem, after a 2-year layoff, a little over 2-year layoff, fought to a draw in his opening bout. And just a interesting bout all the way around. Better crowd than I thought there would be. A little over 4,000 there. 4,135, I think, was the attendance for that. And not a bad situation, considering we got about the same for Luis Ortiz, Tony Thompson on March the 5th. And we got a good crowd, of course, for the Broner Theophane card. So not a bad card at all. I mean, it was again, a lot of people criticizing that there were no Beltway boxers in the main event bouts, and they weren't going to be. These were 2 legitimate world title bouts. Not to say that any Beltway card without a Beltway boxer would have not been legitimate. That's not what I meant to say, but they're 2 very good super middleweight title bout, especially the Gale Medina fight. James DeGale and Rogelio Medina fought a great fight. No question about that. So it was a wonderful fight for them. And Jack Butte wasn't as good as DeGale Medina, but it wasn't a terrible fight. So it was all in all a very good boxing night at the DC Armory. And of course, we have another one coming up. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Now let's move to the Regional Golden Gloves. And the Regional Golden Gloves took place on April 30th at Rosecroft Raceway in Fort Washington, Maryland. And it signals something that we've talked about here on the podcast. Juan Marshall and I have talked about it on a number of occasions. There is a gap right now in the talent pool for the open division of our Beltway boxing amateurs. We're just not where we were 5 or 6 years ago. Of course, again, we are noticing and continuing to understand that group that was there from, say, 2009 to 2000, let's say 13. Now, let's make it 2014, was a very special group. And you look at their success throughout their pro careers right now. A lot of them who have turned pro, they've done extremely well. When you talk about people like Mike Reed, Javante Davis, Lamont Roach Jr., Demetrius Ballard, Jerry Odom has stumbled a little bit, but still is a well-known prospect. Antoine Douglas, who didn't fight Golden Gloves much in that area, but still is a very talented open division fighter. When you look at people like Kevin Rivers Jr., I mean, these guys perform so well in the amateurs that you can see why they have been, top pros right now. And now that they have gone on to the pros, the next batch behind them right now just aren't as overall as talented as the ones that we had. And of course, again, they set a high standard. As I said, when I thought about them being the next wave, they set a standard for other people to follow. And it's going to take some time for that next group to follow that. There's no question about that. But I've also said this, that things are improving, especially on the Virginia side of the ledger. Virginia, North Carolina. Like I said, I don't know much about the North Carolina boxers, but I know the Virginia boxers, the guys like Seth Billups and the Abregu brothers who were amateurs who are now pros, or at least one of them is a pro. That's Matthew Abregu. I think Diego's going to turn very soon. But they set a standard of their own. Now, they weren't able to defeat a lot of the D.C. region boxers, but they did perform very, very well as amateurs. And now they've set a standard. And what has happened in Virginia especially is that there have been boxers who have caught up to that standard. So the open division team that'll be going to the Nationals in Salt Lake City will have a half and half look. It'll be halfway DC boxers and halfway Virginia boxing. Now that's where it was last year, but the majority of the Virginia boxers and North Carolina boxers won by walkover. They were unopposed regional champions. This year, not the case. The Virginia North Carolina team performed very, very well. They dominated the competition. That's the first time I can remember that happening in a long time in the regional Golden Gloves. They dominated the competition over D.C., Maryland, and of course Delaware is now part of this region. And they won 5 of the 7 bouts that were held this past Saturday at the regional Golden Gloves. And two results kind of surprised me a little bit. Tariq Irby in the 141-pound division. This is a guy that's been in Olympic trials. He was in the World Series of Boxing. He performed a couple times in there. And he lost to Jelante Cole, who's a very talented boxer. No question about that. Very talented. He's fighting out of Burke, Virginia. And he won over Tariq Irby. And that was I think that was a minor surprise for a lot of people. I think a bigger surprise, however, may have taken place at 165 pounds, where Troy Isley out of Alexander, Virginia, another talented boxer, won over 2-time regional Golden Glove champion Tavon Body out of Burtonsville, Maryland. So I think that may have been the biggest surprise of the entire meet. Again, I didn't get a chance to see these bouts, but just from the results, I was very surprised when I heard that. Also, in the open division, Javon Campbell out of Raleigh, North Carolina, he won the 123-pound class, defeating Hector Soto of Salisbury, Maryland. I tell you, Hector Soto has fought in a number of divisions alongside his brother Douglas Soto. They fought up in there with 114, 108, 123, and just neither one of them just had that opportunity to get over the hump to win regional titles. That's really been tough there. Nicholas Sullivan of Portsmouth, Virginia, won the 132-pound division. He defeated Tommy Avalar out of Germantown, Maryland. That may have been a little bit of a surprise. And Ray Barlow of Raleigh, North Carolina, won the 152-pound division over Maiwak Dagut of Bowie, Maryland. The only winners that came out of the D.C., Maryland, Delaware region on the open side were Cenk Plana. He's out of Hagerstown, Maryland. I like this kid. I really do. I think this kid could be a surprise in the regionals. He won at 178 pounds. Cortez Dunstan out of Baltimore won the 201-pound division over 201-pound plus division over Leander Overby of Hampton, Virginia. So your team will also include, along with the ones we just mentioned, Rashid Wright, who's out of Headbangers Gym at 108 pounds, Washington, D.C. Malik Jackson is 114 pounds, Washington, D.C. And I'm starting to wonder whether or not he's thinking ahead to being a pro, because the fire that I saw early on in his career when he was winning bouts overseas, quite frankly, I haven't seen as much. And I'm wondering if he's just thinking ahead to turning pro and see what happens there. But he needs to have a good Golden Gloves on May 15th through the 22nd. Also, Jonathan Surratt is out of Fort Washington, Maryland. He is in the 201-pound bracket. So it'll be very interesting to see how this group does at the Golden Gloves Tournament of Champions. That'll be May 15th through the 22nd at Salt Lake City, Utah. And that's going to be very interesting to see. But Jelante Cole and Troy Isley on this list could be a surprise. And again, I like Cenk Plana. So I think this could be very interesting to see what happens with those guys. Novice division, DC, Maryland, Delaware did a good job. And as I said, there's a little gap. And I think the guys who are going to turn novice into open might put us back where we once were, or at least come close to it. Marcus Johnson out of Silver Spring, Maryland, won the 123-pound title. He won a victory over Ian Holman of Fairfax Station, Virginia. 141 pounds, Leroy Payne of Oxon Hill, Maryland. He won over Clary Clinchscales of Centerville, Virginia. 178 pounds. Another guy I think is very good, Leonard Poe out of Fort Washington, Maryland. He won the title there over Ryan Rogers of Richmond, Virginia. Also, two of the victories, the first two victories from the D.C. region out of Delaware were in the novice division, as Mike Crane of Smyrna won the 152-pound division with a win over Darius Lard of Woodbridge, Virginia, and Thomas Moninger of Seaford, Delaware. He's pretty good also. He won the 201-pound title with a win over William Jones of Petersburg, Virginia. Some of the other bouts in the novice division, Nestor Rodriguez Sanchez of New Bern, North Carolina, won the 132-pound championship. He defeated Blaze Fiedler, who fights off of Andrews Air Force Base in Maryland. Christian Fain of Richmond, Virginia, won over Ashton Sykes of Columbia, Maryland, to win the 165-pound division. And Trey Gaines of Lynchburg, Virginia, won the 201-pound plus division with a victory over Jimmy Spiros of Great Falls, Virginia. Now, there was one other note from this Golden Gloves, and I'm putting this out on behalf of the Golden Gloves organization. Apparently, Saturday night, somebody stole the logo banner, or somebody, let me just say this, someone walked off with the logo banner for the Golden Gloves. Now, I don't know why they would do that. I thought at first, when I first got the information on this, I thought this was the banner that had all the names of the past champions, which is, historic banner. I thought that was that one, but I was told it was not that banner. One of the logo banners for the Washington Golden Gloves. So if anybody who was there knows who may have it, please return it. And there's no questions asked on this, but no reason why you have it. Okay. No one told you to take it down. Just send it back to the Golden Gloves, send it back to Rosecroft Raceway to my buddy Lisa and Lisa Watson, and there'll be no questions asked. Just return the banner. Okay. Just return the banner. So we'll see what happens, hoping that will take place. So that was this past weekend. This coming weekend, not a whole lot going on except a couple things. Number one, the PVA All-Stars will be in action at Rosecroft Raceway. Speaking of which, this Saturday, May the 7th, there's a card going on there, a Junior Olympic card there is the last kind of tune-up for the Junior Olympic Regionals. That'll take place May 13th through the 15th at the Main Street Gym in Salisbury, Maryland. So we'll give you a list of the Junior Olympic boxers who will be in competition over there on Saturday, May the 7th. Also on Saturday, May 7th, we have a media workout, actually a fan workout. It's a workout open to the public for the card that's going to take place on Saturday, May 14th at the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium. We'll have a big announcement about that in just a moment. But there's going to be a lot of the boxes will be on that card. It'll be over at Mondawmin Mall. That's in Baltimore. Liberty Road in Baltimore, Maryland, right across the street from the physical education complex at Coppin State University. So if you know anything about West Baltimore, that's where that will be. And it's free, open to the public. Get some autographs for some of the fighters, and should be a lot of fun. It'll start around 5:30 in the afternoon over at Mondawmin Mall. Also on May 7th, we have one boxer in action. That's Lamont Roach Jr., and he is scheduled to be on the undercard of Canelo Alvarez and Amir Khan at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, he doesn't have an opponent yet. He had one, and then I guess that opponent couldn't make it. So, but he's scheduled to be on that card Saturday, May 7th. He won't be on television. He'll be on the undercard, a non-televised undercard. But that's a big move for Lamont Roach Jr. Get seen by some people at the T-Mobile Arena. Maybe the early birds will get there to see him, And if he puts on a good performance, who knows what will happen. He's undefeated. He did put on a nice performance in his last outing, which was on the March 5th card at the DC Armory. Fought a yes, that was that card. Yes, March 5th card at the DC Armory. Fought very, very well on that card. Won an 8-round unanimous decision. So that's all we have for May 7th. I'm getting my my March mixed up. I do apologize for May 7th. But May 13th, May 14th, huge weekend for the Beltway. Not only do we have the regional junior Olympics at the Main Street Gym in Salisbury, Maryland, where we have two, I think, outstanding pro cards coming up next weekend. Friday, May 13th, we'll be at the D.C. Armory in Washington, D.C., our fourth time there and our fourth nationally televised card. The main event and the co-feature will be televised live on BET. And the card is pretty much complete. So let's run down this card real quickly. The main event, of course, undefeated welterweight Dusty Hernandez Harrison out of Washington, D.C. He'll take on the silent assassin, Mike Dallas Jr. of Bakersfield, California. That'll be about scheduled for 10 rounds. Harrison is 29-0, of course, 16 KOs, coming off a second-round stoppage of Angel Hernandez on January 29th in Elk Grove, Illinois. Now, this is a big bout for Dusty Harrison. And hopefully, if he does win, it will really start quieting the critics, one of them being myself, in all honesty, of where he is as a pro. Harrison has stopped his last 3 opponents, but he hasn't fought real quality competition. He takes a step toward doing that when he takes on Mike Dallas Jr. Dallas Jr. 21-3-1, 10 KOs. He has a 2-bout winning streak of his own, but he's fought some really nondescript opponents in Mexico, both in November and December 2015. However, Dallas Jr. has fought for a world title. He fought for the interim WBC super lightweight title. He was knocked out by Lucas Matisse in the first round in January 2013. That was in Las Vegas, Nevada. But it's a big test for Dusty, I think. This is going to be a real good test for him. And again, he's going to have to start moving. I think this bout is a symbol that he is starting to move. I mean, again, when we first started talking about this card, of course, the talk was that it was going to be against Tony Jeter. And I think Jeter would have been a good move for him. I'm not sure. I think this is a lateral move, in all honesty, going one way or the other. I don't think this is anything better than what he would get against Jeter. I don't think it's any worse either, in all honesty. I think it's just a lateral move. But it's a good move. I mean, I have no problem with this opponent. I think this is a good opponent. And I'm telling you, there are people that I know who were kind of apprehensive about Harrison taking this bout. Because Dallas Jr. is no joke. He has been with some good people. And a lot of people were apprehensive about this situation. So we'll have to wait and see. And it'll be the main event. Dusty Hernandez Harrison taking on Mike Dallas Jr. 10 rounds. On March 13th. And again, that'll be one of the bouts on BET. The other bout that'll be televised on BET should be a good one as well, as Thomas K.O. Snow out of Capitol Heights, Maryland. He's super bantamweight. He'll take on Luis Orlando Del Valle, Bayamon, Puerto Rico. That's about scheduled for 8 rounds. Snow is 18-2, 12 KOs. He's been kind of intermittent as far as his performance is concerned. A lot of bouts have fallen out on him, or he has been kind of canceled, knocked out of some of the bouts for whatever reason. He last fought on December 4th and scored a second-round TKO over Tibor Nadori over in Fort Washington, Maryland. Now, Snow is a King's Promotions boxer, and I believe this will be his first bout under the King's Promotions banner, first or second. Del Valle is 21-2, 16 KOs. He fought on April 9th, scored a second-round TKO over Josh Crespo, and that was in Salem, New Hampshire. So that's the co-feature there, Thomas Snow versus Luis Del Valle. There'll be a battle of Beltway heavyweights on the card as Mike Silverback Balogun of Upper Marlboro, Maryland. He'll put his undefeated record on line against Devon Mosley of Capitol Heights, Maryland in a 4-round encounter. Balogun is 5-0, 4 KOs. He did go the distance for the first time in his career. He went up against Lonnie Cornegay of Baltimore on July 24th in Baltimore at the Horseshoe Casino. And again, Cornegay has only been knocked out in his first pro bout, and he hasn't been knocked out since. So to say that Balogun did not get a knockout, that's no disrespect to Balogun. He fought a tough guy. Mosley's 0-4-1. He's going to try to bounce back from being knocked out in the first round by Hafiz Montgomery. That was on November 20th in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So this will be an interesting bout for Mike Silverback Balogun, and all Beltway showdown against Devin Mosley. Rookie cruiserweight Vanilla Gorilla Sam Crossett, of Greenbelt, Maryland. He'll move into the 6th-round bouts. He takes on Damian Reed of Danville, Virginia. Crossett is 2-0, 1 KO. Won a 4-round unanimous decision over Martez Williamson on February 27th at the Washington Convention Center. By the way, Crossett will be signing autographs at Prince George's Stadium, the home of the Bowie Bay Sox, coming up this weekend as well. Get a chance to meet the Vanilla Gorilla in person, sign some autographs there. He'll take on Damian Reed of Danville, Virginia. Now, Crossett is 2-0, 1 KO. He won a 4-round unanimous decision over Martez Williamson. That was on February 27th at the Washington Convention Center. Reed is 2-13-1. He has 1 KO. He has not fought since he was knocked out by Albi Sadikaj. That was in the 3rd round in August of 2013 in Millersville, Maryland. So Crossett went the distances last time. It'll be interesting to see what he does against Damian Reed. And that bout actually scheduled for, I think I said 6 rounds. That actually will be scheduled for 4 rounds, I've been told. So that'll be a 4-round bout. Another heavyweight bout. This will be interesting as well. The DC Diamond Cutter, Carlos Black, he's out of Rockville, Maryland. He'll take on the debuting Damani Rock of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That'll be in a 4-round bout. Now, Black has had a tough time as of late. He won his pro debut back in April 2015, but since that time he's lost 3 straight. He's been knocked out in 2 of those 3 bouts, and his last one was a first-round knockout loss to Jerry Forrest. And that was on September 26th in Norfolk, Virginia. Rock is a former national amateur super heavyweight champion. Now, he once beat Cam Awesome, who's now on the 2016 Olympic team. He just beat him for the National Golden Gloves title. Rock was the number 1 rated super heavyweight in the United States and number 5 in the world at the end of his amateur career, and he just signed with Rock Nation. So this will be interesting to see what happens. The Rock, a lot of people are very high on him. I think he's like 19, 20 years old, and they're very high on this young man. So those are the bouts that feature Beltway boxers. And the rest of the card looks pretty good as well. Super lightweight Abner Cotto of Caguas, Puerto Rico. He is the second cousin of both Miguel Cotto and Jose Cotto. The Miguel Cotto, of course, former world champion, and Jose Cotto is a former world title contender. He'll take on Juan Jose Pinocho Beltran of Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico. That'll be a bout scheduled for 8 rounds. Cotto is 19-3 with 9 KOs. He last fought on February 6th and scored a first-round knockout of Edwin Lopez in Caguas, Puerto Rico. Beltran, 29-25-3 with 18 KOs. He lost his last bout to Luis Del Valle on the 2nd-round stoppage on November 14th in Comerio, Puerto Rico. Also on the card, undefeated light heavyweight prospect Junior Yunin of Brooklyn, New York. He'll be in a 6-round contest against Oscar Rojas of Monterrey, Mexico. Yunin is 8-0, 6 KOs. Rojas is 10-5 with 3 KOs. Now, Yunin won a 4-round unanimous decision over Christian Solizano on March 26th in Oakland, California. Before that, he knocked out Mike Sawyer out of Virginia, Culpeper, Virginia, in the Barclays Center in New York. Rojas lost an 8-round unanimous decision to Enrique Colazo. That was on April 22nd in Trujillo Alto, Puerto Rico. So that is the card for the BET broadcast at the DC Army on Friday night, May 13th. I don't know what time that card starts. I believe it's going to start around 5:30, 5:45 like the last show did. Somewhere around that time. Don't know when the broadcast is. I think the broadcast is scheduled for either 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock Eastern time. We'll pin that down for you. Hopefully by next week, we'll be able to pin that down for you. Okay? So that's Friday, May 13th. Then on Saturday, May 14th, We'll be at the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland for a Shaw Style Promotions card. And I tell you, and I said this last week, this card has Card of the Year potential. And here's leads to the announcement. We'll be broadcasting this card live from the Maryland State Fairgrounds. We'll be on the air at 4:55 Eastern Time for the 5 o'clock p.m. start at the Maryland State Fairgrounds. We'll be on the air at 4:55 p.m. Eastern Time for that card. And it could be a long night because there's scheduled 15 bouts on the card. But I'll be honest with you. If the 6 bouts they have already scheduled, they have a grand total of 10 bouts already scheduled. They have enough. Because they have enough, and 5 of the bouts, I think, they all could compete for bout of the year. That's how good this card is. All right? We've talked about the main event for the Maryland State Cruiserweight Championship. Travis Severe Reeves, 11-2-2, taking on Larry Hitman Pryor, 9-13-0. And I get the knockouts for you a little bit later on. But Travis Reeves against Larry Hitman Pryor, that's going to be a really solid bout. That's for the Cruiserweight title. For the Super Featherweight, Maryland Super Featherweight title, Terrell Samuel, the show shocker, takes on Joshua Dynamite Davis. Tarishia Douglas will be in a flyweight bout against Nahi Torre. That's a bout that's been trying to get together for the longest time, and they finally got it together, and that'll be a 8-round bout in the women's flyweight division. We talked about James Keep 'em Sleeping Stevenson taking on Kevin the Scarecrow Womack Jr. And I believe that's going to be a 6-round bout according to what I have here. That should be an interesting bout as well. And this one just got added, and I like this bout as well. Devin Butcher out of Baltimore. This will be a super middleweight bout. Undefeated Devin Butcher, 5-0, 3 KOs, taking on Tennille Goyko of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in a 6-round bout. Now, the last time we saw Goyko in the Beltway region was a couple years ago at the Patapsco Arena in Baltimore. He took on Damon Nicholson. Damon Nicholson stopped him in the 6th and final round, but many people believe that stoppage was premature, and some people also believe that Goyko was actually, if the bout had gone the distance, was on his way to beating Damon Nicholson that night. It was a tough bout. I think Butcher's in a tough one here. If the right Goyko shows up, that's going to be a very, very tough bout. So that's 6 bouts. So with those 5 bouts right there, they have a heck of a card just with those 5. Now, some of the other bouts that are scheduled for this card, Stephen Morris, the surgeon out of Baltimore, will be in a 4-round against Danny Waters. I don't exactly know where Danny Waters is from. He's making his pro debut. Cody Crowley out of Canada, undefeated 7-0, takes on Corey McCants. James Early out of Sea Pleasant, Maryland, 1-0, taking on Taishe Ferguson. He's 0-5. Kobe Madison, heavyweight, who took all of 30 seconds to win his pro debut at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia on April 9th. Will take on Lonnie Cornegay in Baltimore, and that could be a very tough bout as well, especially with Kobe Madison in his second pro bout against a guy that, as I said before, has only been knocked down one time, and that was in his pro debut. So we'll see. Also, we know that we just added to the card, Shingiz Khan Tazabai will be on the card. He'll take on Ahmet Karatili, I guess it is, and he's making his pro debuts. That just got added to the card. There's still some bouts scheduled to be there. Guys like Seth Billups scheduled to have a bout on the card. Matthew Abregu scheduled to be on this card. Eric El Torito Hernandez on this card, and some more as well. So that's Saturday, May 14th. We will have the card for you live. Wi-Fi permitting, of course. I don't know what the Wi-Fi set up, but we are scheduled to have that bout online right here on the Boxing on the Beltway Google app for Android. Now, folks listening on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio.com, and hopefully YouTube.com, depending what kind of music is being played. We'll see what happens there, but that'll be on Saturday, May 14th, and we'll be at the Maryland State Fairgrounds in Timonium, Maryland, on the air, 4:55 p.m. Eastern Time. Hope you can join us for that. So, a lot going on, as we always say. Of course, we have another card scheduled for May 21st at the ABC Sports Complex in Springfield, Virginia. Give you details on that coming up in the next couple of weeks. So, once again, stay with us for some big-time action, as we always have right here along the Beltway. So, hope to see you on May 13th and 14th. Two big cards coming up in the Beltway region. So we hope to see you there. Until then, I'm Gary Digit Williams. Thank you for listening, everybody. And always remember to keep supporting the best boxing in the world, the boxing along the Beltway. Take care.